You know, it feels pretty bad when you win your coin toss and your opening hand is completely bricked. Well, in today's video, I'm going to go over one of my matches on my 5-win streak in Diamond 1 using, of course, Floowandereeze. Quick aside, I did update the deck list, taking out one Stree for a Dreaming Town, but I will link my deck list video in the description. But in this match that I'm going to show you, we open up completely bricked going first, and what normally would be an auto resign, I'm assuming for most people, is something that we attempt to play through. And I recommend that if you're playing this deck and you open a hand that's kind of bricky, unless your opponent OTKs you, or you really do have no interruption for their turn, it's not really worth just resigning. Sometimes you just need to wait it out and have some patience and see if the match is worth playing out. You won't get on win streaks, you're gonna not have a good win percentage if you just auto resign your matches. And sometimes, yes, you do want to resign to save time, obviously, but I would recommend just seeing out the match a little bit first. You never know, your opponent can make a misplay, they could also have a really bricky opening hand, and you may be able to recover. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at that match. Well, we win the coin toss, and that usually makes you feel pretty good until you see your opening hand is a brick. Nothing we can do, so we just straight up pass our turn. The opponent is probably ecstatic, thinking I get a free draw, and it's like I'm going first. This is great. They activate Scream, normal summon Merly, commit to both the Scream and the Merly. That's going to mill 6. We wait for that until we activate the Shifter. We don't just want to blind activate Shifter, then they're not going to play into it. This they played into banishing 6, and let's take a look at what they're going to banish. Looks like they're pretty good. We get the 1 of field spell, we get 2 tier names, the Rhino and the Merly, and they have a Merly on field already, so that's both their Merlys out. There's 1 of snow, copy of Imperm, and a Super Poly, which unfortunately we want them to keep that because that's bad against us. But 5 out of 6 mills is actually good for us to see get banished, which is great. They end their turn with, obviously the Scream, the Merly, and a face down card. Might be a Sulic, might be something else. But hey, we open up kind of a going second hand and we have the evenly matched. So let's see what happens here now. The opponent can't extend further. That's great. We draw into DD Crow and we go straight to battle phase to activate the evenly matched. Now, you may think, well, you're still brick, just resign. You're not going to be able to extend. The opponent's not going to be under shifter next turn. You're going to lose. Well, Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds will allow us to put back both these birds to draw 2. If we draw any bird and a tribute monster or an Eaglin, we're going to be able to play because they're going to keep 1 card with the evenly matched, and then Unexplored Winds will tribute that card, banishing it because we're still under shifter during this turn, and allow me to extend if I can draw an Eaglin to search for Empin or another tribute monster with a bird. So that's exactly what we're going to do here, right? This is how we end up unbricking our hand. This card can be very helpful in that regard, and you can see here we draw Stree, which, like I mentioned at the start of the video in the deck list, we cut to 1. And we draw the tribute monster in the Empin. So that's actually great. We're going to be able to summon Stree, banish the Shifter because there is no Grave Shufflers in the opponent's graveyard right now, and then tribute off their Scream that they ended up keeping along with our Stree to go for Empin. Now, what is Empin going to search? We don't need Trap Card because we hard drew it. We're going to bring back the Stree and actually search for Map. Now, we can't extend right now. If we activate Map and try to use Map, we're going to summon Stree and it won't do anything because we've already used the effect this turn. We get a banished Robina that we get back to our hand. But why would I activate Map now? It might get Heartbeated back into the deck. It might get Feather Dusted away with the Unexplored Winds. It's just not worth risking in my opinion. So I opt to keep the cards in my hand for now and seeing what the opponent has to extend. We know that we've actually hit a couple of tier names, right? We've got both of their Merlys. We've got their Rhino Heart. So do they have a Sharon or a Havness? And if they have Havness, they have to use it during our turn, right? So there's very little the opponent might have. They have to have either one of the 2 copies of Rhino Heart remaining or Sharon in their hand in order to extend. And we've already taken out the Pearl of Rhino, so they might have bricks in their hand now in terms of like Rainbow Bridge of Salvation if they play that, the Crystal Beast monster, the Terraforming, etc. So this is actually not a bad game state. What started off as a very bad opening hand for us actually turned out to an okay game state. So the opponent is going to looks like go for an Xyz play here. That's the nice thing too about these Grave Shufflers. I mean, you can just get into an instant level 4, which is crazy. And they're playing the Zodiac package. So Borbo is going to be able to attack directly, go into Dryden, and they might as well just attach a card to pop something because Zeus with 5 materials is no different really than Zeus with 4. Unless it comes up where you end up needing to reattach materials with the Zeus, but that rarely ever comes up. So now we're playing through Zeus with 4 materials, so that's 2 interrupts to clear the field. And good thing we didn't activate our Map, right? Because it probably would have just been cleared with Zeus. So we're actually going to draw, and we draw an Advent. That's pretty good. What we're going to do here is force the Zeus out by going straight to battle phase. And if they don't end up activating one of their Zeus effects now, the Empen will just banish a card, cut the Zeus in half in terms of attack and defense, and just beat over it. So on the activation of the Zeus effect, we use Advent. Why did we do this? Because we don't want Zeus in the graveyard. We actually want to banish it. Because if we put it in the graveyard and try to banish it with Stree, they're just going to chain the Shuffler. That's going to fizzle our Stree and put our Empen back into our deck. So by activating Advent, we're able to get Robina to hand, which is the perfect extender. And now we're able to go main phase 2, not activate map because we don't want to trigger Zeus again. And we're going to try to manually extend. The opponent draws the Havness, which is really bad because that could have ended up milling something really important. And it kind of does in the Crime. That's going to allow them to recur a Merly or the Rhinoheart in the banish pile. So after we resolve Robina by summoning Eaglin, new Chain Link Eaglin 1, the Crime 2 to bring the Rhinoheart, I think is what they targeted, back to hand. And then they're going to Zeus 3 to clear our field, send the Havness, which is going to trigger the effect to fuse. But again, we've been kind of playing this, and I think pretty smartly. So far, I mean, the Havness really only has the DD Crow or the Rhinoheart that they just brought back to fuse with, right? Likely they're going to use that Rhinoheart to go into Kit Kalos and search for a Sharon, I would guess. So yeah, absolutely they do that, putting back both those cards, bringing out Kit Kalos and getting the search. And they actually search for a Heartbeat. So the opponent does know I'm on map, and I guess they just want to out the map. But again, both their Merleys are banished. They just put back Havness. Probably don't have another Havness in hand. And then you know they have Heartbeat, right? So this is actually not too bad for us. Now what we're going to do is activate map because Zeus has no more materials. We're going to summon the Street and target probably what is the Grave Shuffler, one of the Grave Shufflers, force them to activate, and that's going to bring back the Robina and the Eaglin to hand. We're going to banish the Toucan most likely, but we're going to leave the Toucan in the graveyard because we expect Stree to fizzle. We expect Stree's effect to not go through, so we're not going to need to summon that Toucan. Sure enough, you can see Chainlink 3 and then Chainlink 4, they're going to actually activate that Shuffler, putting back all their Zodiac monsters and fizzling our Stree because now the Stree target is not in the graveyard anymore. It won't resolve. So we can't continue to summon, but that's fine because we have the Dreaming Town trap. Now, at this point, the opponent has to have a tier limit name in order to send Kit Kalos, right? And pretty much on first action, we're going to activate Dreaming Town. So they're going to Heartbeat, and we're like, okay, they're going to put map back into deck. That's fine because we have this Empen to search and summon, or summon and search, and then we have this Empen to bring back to summon and search as well. They actually target the face down card, and that's totally fine. We're going to chain it. That's the Dreaming Town. Summon the Eaglin, chain block it with the Toucan. Now, Heartbeat says when you activate this, you have to send one card, or sorry, then send one card from your hand to the graveyard. So they didn't actually have to send a card from their hand to the graveyard because I guess we activated the Dreaming Town and it didn't end up, this card didn't end up resolving fully. So that's fine. What we're going to actually do here is now summon the Empen. Now the opponent does make a misplay. Technically, it actually isn't a misplay, but it would have been nice for us if they did do this. They should have activated the Mudora during the same chain link as the Eaglin here in order to shuffle back our trap. Because if they don't do that, upon resolution of chain link 1 in the Eaglin, we will summon the Empen, which will cause the trigger effect to activate of Dreaming Town, in which case it becomes too late for them to chain the Mudora to shuffle it back. And that's going to flip their whole field face down. Why is that important? Because it means in order to get Kit Kalos back face up, they have to flip it back face up because they haven't changed the position this turn, right? By flipping Kit Kalos face down and flipping it back face up, it has to go back into attack mode, which means it will now be negated by the Empen. So that's really important. If they would have banished their Mudora and shuffled back the Dreaming Town upon the same chain link as the Eaglin, the Mudora would have resolved first before Eaglin to search and summon, and the trap wouldn't have been able to be summoned after I summoned the Eaglin as a trigger effect. It's not going to end up making a difference because if we end up shuffling back the Kit Kalos with the Ryza, it doesn't matter because obviously they can't send Kit Kalos mid-chain when we're resolving these effects, but it could have mattered. So the opponent technically did misplay. And in the end, it would have been better for us if they did do that. So it actually benefited them that they did not activate the Mudora. But yeah, it was technically still a misplay. But at this point, basically, the opponent, if they have a tier name in hand, either to normal summon or summon off Kit Kalos to mill cards, we could still be in a rough position, right? So sending back the Kit Kalos could be a little risky versus just beating over it because we are still in main phase 1. But also because they used the first shuffler, the Keldo, to shuffle back the Zeus materials. I kind of don't want to put the Zeus back into the extra deck either, but again, this is why this match is so complex. It's like, does it even matter? Because they can just Grave Shuffler it back into the extra deck as well. So this is a risk for me at this point, right? I'm going to continue to extend and probably summon out the second Empin by getting it back with Toucan. Now you can see off Robina, we do search back the DD Crow, and I talk about this in my deck list video. DD Crow is good because it's a searchable interruption in this deck. That's why I don't play 2 or 3 anymore. I don't actually want to see it on a draw. I'd rather just search it when I need it, and a 1-of is perfect for that because your main sources of banishing in this deck is your Shifter and your Dimensional Fissure. You don't actually really want to see DD Crow unless you search it for a searchable interruption, and it can come in clutch for sure in this scenario. So yeah, we're gonna end up summoning the second Empin, and this is gonna make our Rise Alive by tributing either one of these Empins. We don't have to tribute both, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. And this is going to force out their last Grave Shuffler because we're gonna target it with the Ryza, and that's gonna force them to activate the Medora. And, you know, again, what do I flip back on the field? If I flip back at Kalos, I do run the risk that they have a tier name in hand. They summon like Sharon or Rhino Heart and pitch a card, and then fuse back into the Kit Kalos. Now they can search another tier name and send Kit Kalos. So it's really risky what we want to do. But again, we have that searchable interruption. So there's 3 copies of Rhino Heart left in their deck, still 2 copies of Sharon. A Havness doesn't really matter. So I'm feeling kind of confident that I can DD Crow whatever they end up putting into the graveyard. Unless they mill more than 1 tier name, and then it becomes very difficult. But sure enough, they do have a Rhino, so they kind of drew the out. But we summoned Robina and searched for the searchable interruption in the DD Crow. That's going to banish the Havness. They have no more Grave Shufflers because we forced the last one out with the Ryza. Now they're down a Havness and 2 Merly. We're putting them on virtually almost no more tier names, right? They've got Sharon, 2 Sharons, and they've got 1 Havness left in the deck. And with this setup here, they're going to flip back up Zeus, no materials. If they try to attack into Empin, we banish a card, destroy the Zeus, and the Rhino Heart is useless. They don't have anything else to extend with, obviously, with just 1 card in hand. Did they use their normal summon this turn? Yes, they have, so they couldn't even like normal summon a level 4 and make an Xyz play again. We're feeling pretty good, and the opponent ends up resigning. So, the moral of the story, despite what looked like a desperate and very bad opening hand, by just passing and playing through the match, we were able to come back and win and keep control of that match. And, you know, the opponent had really good plays. They went into the Zeus, they outed our board twice, and we were still able to come back. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment if you did. I would appreciate it. A like would also help. And definitely subscribe if you want to see more Floowandereeze and additional gameplay from other decks as well. Thank you for watching. Quantum is out.